Oh, drifting. Today's tutorial is on, you guessed it, drifting. And I hope at the end of this video you have some more recognition of how to drift, the basics. Even I'm not a professional. I've been drifting for like 4 months or 3 months so far. I just got my sim racing wheel 3 months ago. I was using my mouse to drift, which was quite interesting, but with a wheel it's a whole new experience. Before we get into drifting and choosing the correct car for drifting, we should tweak our force feedback settings. I run my gain, I mean you can see on the screen, I'm running my gain on 85% because my wheel is on 100% in the control panel for my Thrustmaster T300 RS wheel. If you're using Logitech or any other wheel, just set to 100% and then you can tweak in-game the gain, so it's much nicer for you. I'd also like to recommend saving your presets like I've got here. So I've got my drift force feedback on 900. This is my normal one, which is for the maximum degrees of rotation, just 1080 or 1080. And then I've got my race force feedback because that is different as well. Now that we have our force feedback settings set, we can choose our car now. There are plenty of mod packs which you can use. Most popular one, which you probably have installed, is World Drift Tour. They have very low grip, which makes it easy to slide, which is very useful for a beginner. I won't be using these for my own sake because I haven't used them for a very long time, although I could give them a try. But my personal favorite, Death Wish Garage. Yes, it has a very low amount of cars, but each one differs from the other one. They're the most realistic in terms of the handling and the way they drift. I've seen plenty of videos saying that these are the most realistic. Some drift packs which I would definitely stay out of is DTP. Although they're somewhat popular, I'm not entirely sure. They have some cheat physics to them which make them incredibly easy to drift. Don't quote me on that, that's what I've heard, and they do feel a bit unnatural. There's also ACDFR, but that is all pro cars, so no, don't use them. VDC, for example Toyota, you've got these VDC pro cars. Again, you can use them when you become better at drifting, but they're incredibly difficult to drift with because it's a pro car. You've got so much power, so much grip. It gets frustrating sometimes for me personally. So today I'll put a link down in the description if you want to download the Death Wish cars and the website where you can download other tracks, more cars, etc, etc. Today I'll be using the Mazda RX-7 maps. Today we're only going to be using the default drift map. The standard drift track is very beginner friendly, very useful. You got some technical and very simple corners to drift around and then get used to, and then you can implement it onto other tracks. So yeah, let's start up the game. I'll change the PP filter in game so the graphics are slightly worse. I don't think they're going to be that bad because graphics are very important for me, but I'll decrease them so the video's at a constant 60 frames per second. I'm not sure if it is going to be, but we'll find out. Gears are very important actually. You don't want it too high or too low, so you don't want it too high so that you're constantly like the extremely low gears in the mid-range of the RPM. You won't have enough power in order to get the wheels spinning. With this RX-7, I like to have my gear ratios with a final drive at 4.97. Third gear is the main gear, which I always use. Sometimes second when it depends on what corner I'm taking. Tires. You can change the tires, so you can have them like pro tires, I suppose, and then you got used tires, which are scabs, as shown here. Used scabs, low traction, easy to slide, very fun. Fuel. This is a bit unnecessary, but I like to keep it at 20, so that's less weight. Traction and ABS. ABS you can keep it on if you would like to, but I keep it off because it's more fun. And turbo at 100%, of course, unless oh yes, baby, unless the car is too responsive and you have too much power, then you can decrease the turbo in game or in the menu in order to have a smoother ride. I have it at 100% because I like more power. Drivetrain, generic, nothing else. Brake bias, I like to have at 60%. Don't know why, don't ask me. So at the bottom you can see my pedals, what I'm doing, the gearing on the right side. Yeah. First of all, get to know the car. Drive it around, try to lose traction sometimes in order to catch the car and know the limits of the car. Spin out sometimes as well, or just do random donuts to get the feel of a car and how much of the RPMs you need to be at in order to make the car's wheels spin. So if we start rolling, this is very important actually. Use a shifter, you know, an H pattern shifter. Don't do what I'm doing. This is mainly because I am broke. I do not have an H shifter. I'm using the flappy paddles in order to shift gears. Not good, especially when you're drifting, but you can get used to it. Like, the wheel is upside down and then you don't know which one to shift. So you press the one on your right, which is usually the upshift, but then it downshifts for you. So advised, keep it to one gear, get used to it, or get an H shifter, of course. But as we drive around, you want to be feathering your throttle. You don't want to fucking mash it up. You want to be smooth with it. It's like a bathtub. It's a good theory, the bathtub. When you move it forwards, the water goes backwards, right? It has to be smooth, you know? Very smooth. Oh, look at that. Absolutely beautiful. Same with the braking. You want it to be smooth. You don't want it to be violent like that. It's not hardcore sex. Think of that. It's not hardcore sex. It's more, you know, it's more pleasurable sex. Okay, now we're gonna break traction. In order to break traction, you can do it in plenty of ways. That is doing a massive fat old burnout, or you can go in circles, increase your RPMs, and then you break the traction limit, and then the car will start sliding. You will start to hear the tires squeal. Then when, for example, we're going left and then you start to feel the car break traction, you start to see the car going sideways, let go of your wheel, it will spin around and then catch it, and then start to straighten out the car by reducing the RPMs. Do a couple donuts around the tires. Don't worry if you crash, it takes time. It took me about 3 weeks. Not 3 weeks. About 3 weeks in order to handle a drift car properly. So it's not easy, okay? So look, here's an example. Going around the tires at a very low RPM. First gear, start to increase it. You start to hear the wheel squeal. Let go of my wheel, caught it. Increased power, which can also lead you out of drift. So do it both ways. Do it turning right and turning left, because you have to get used to drifting in each direction. If you're starting to get the feeling of doing the donuts in first gear, try doing it in second. because that will allow you to go for much longer. Like this. And you can see that I'm not always 100% on throttle. I'm going up and down, sometimes below fit. Oh, that was on purpose, trust me. As you could see, my pedal, well, my foot, was at 100%, sometimes near 50. So between 50 and 100%, that's where you want your foot to be. How much power you want to send into the wheels. To make traction, of course. If you start to feel the car to slide out a lot more than usual, decrease your RPMs, just let go of a foot to like between 50 and 100%, or just around 50% in general, in order to grip up and gain more traction. When you start to feel that you're gaining more traction, again, go back to 100% to kick the wheels a bit more, and then keep on feathering like that. Keep on doing this until you start to feel very confident in yourself, or if you're like me and you just can't wait to start drifting, let's get to the corners now. Whoopsie. This one right here. It's a very nice long corner. Lots of space. It won't go wrong in any way. Also, you can do it in both ways. Hooray! You can get used to drifting left and right. So, one. First person. Start going very slowly. Second gear or third gear. Start turning, starting to lose traction. Release the wheel, let it spin for you, catch it, then steer a bit to the left to catch, to make it stop changing angle, and then the car will settle down at a certain angle. Then you just move the wheel left or right depending on where you want to go. So now let's do it turning left this time. Again, third gear. Start to increase, for fuck's sake. Start to increase power at the middle of a turn. You start to lose grip. Release the wheel. Catch it. And then start to counter steer. Very simple. There's also another turn, which I find pretty nice. It's a bit more skinnier, requires less speed. But this corner right here, which is a great corner in my opinion, because you can begin to transition here at the correct timing. So let's do it again. Of course, this is when you've handled drifting around one corner, of course. Now we're going to move on to transitioning. Is transitioning hard? Depends. If you're on a very low horsepower car, less traction, it's pretty easy. But if you're in a very high horsepower car with lots of grip, it can be sometimes frustrating to transition. Start moving. Second gear maybe. That's terrible. Release the wheel. I didn't explain how you transition actually. So what you want to do when transitioning is you start to feel the car. So for example, you're drifting right now, yeah, on that corner. You start drifting and then you get to the mid section. You did the corner very well, somewhat well, and then you start to feel the car going a bit more straight or starting to veer to the left. So when it starts going left, transitioning, release the wheel. Don't be on 100% throttle. Be again between 50 and like 80 or 90, because you don't want the car to snap back at you, which is the main reason why people can't transition. And I couldn't transition as well. I just couldn't understand how to transition from left to right, and that was because I was applying way too much power, or I was applying too less power, which eventually would lead you to gripping up and then going straight. So keep on doing this section a couple of times because it's a very nice S bend. Again, second gear, power in, transition, there go, catch the wheel. As you could see, actually, when I started to drift, I was applying a lot of power. I was in the high RPMs. So you want to know how to initiate a drift, right? There's plenty of ways to initiate a drift. One of them being is using the weight of a car. So you're going fairly quickly, right? And you do a Scandinavian flick. You turn right and then you turn left. Easy. And then you've got another one, which is a clutch kick. I don't think that's a clutch kick. Let me do it again. So you're in the low RPMs, you clutch kick, and then you start losing traction. This does depend on the RPMs which you are at or which gear you are in. If you're in second, for example, in a very high speed corner, so let me show you this example. Okay, that's way too high. You're on very high RPMs, right? Works perfectly. Too perfectly, in fact, because it kicks way too much. What you want to be is to be in a lower gear previously. So I'll show it again. Same corner, this time in low RPMs in third gear. See how it spiked? I was on around 3000 RPMs. I didn't look. It's all from feel. And then you hold the clutch, build up the revs, release the clutch. But if you want to do that, you have to turn and initiate first. So for example here, I was turning, which loses grip more instantaneously because if I'm turning right, the wheels will kick me right. If that makes sense. Another good tip, never aim for crazy angle. Angle doesn't really matter in now, as I've realized. You don't want to be on 90-degree angle going 120 miles an hour. Low angle is what it all matters. Right here. You build up more speed, allows you to keep the drift under control easier. And allows you to prepare for transitioning much easier actually. Handbrake. Never, well, you could use the handbrake in order to initiate your drift. Personally, it depends on the situation. If you're going very fast, then yes, use the handbrake because it slows you down, because you lock up the wheels, slows you down, but also makes you slide even longer. And that brings to the point, it makes you slide longer. Oh, I almost threw up, no! So I'll show you a quick example where you can use a handbrake. It can be during a transition too. So you're too short, so you pull the handbrake, brake a bit, And then that allows you to extend your drift in order to go round the corner. And if I didn't drift, which I'll show right now, I mean, what did I say? If I didn't use a handbrake, this is what would have happened. Drifting perfectly fine. Transitioning. Okay. Okay, there's no difference, never mind. Actually, that was a good use of handbrake. Fucking hell. Oh my, how many more fucking times am I gonna go off course? Jesus Christ. I couldn't show a good example, but essentially it just gives you, it makes you slide out even more to get onto a proper drifting line. So this was a good example where I'm driving right now on the tire marks. I use the handbrake somewhere around here in order to extend the drift and then go onto the outer edge. Braking. Left for the braking. I have no clue how the fuck you do it. Let me just test that right now. Yeah, I have no clue how left foot braking works. Maybe I do. No, I don't! But over time, when you start to get the hang of drifting, this course is pretty fun in my opinion, because you can create so many lines, so many unique lines when drifting. It's fun. Oh. Oh look, I'm gonna do a donut right here. Oh yeah! I'm still drifting. I'm a professional, mate. Don't even at me. Oh. Anyways, I'll be wrapping up the video. I'm not even sure if this is a decent ass tutorial. It's my first video after a year, fuck's sake. And, you know, the pressure under recording is not fun. It's no fun, especially talking to my own. I don't like talking to my own. So me talking about this. Oh, that's nice. Look at this. Oh. I've probably had to retake some of the clips like 20,000 times because there's no way I've been drifting for so short and I've got this many fucking drift marks on the track. Just to let you know. But truly, if you found this video useful, found something more clear, or was able to like combine this video with other videos in order to find out what you were doing wrong previously when drifting, good for you. And let me know, please. I genuinely, I want to know if somebody found this video and was like, damn, he actually helped me. I understood something. It will mean a lot for me. And if you're down in the comments, maybe subscribe and hit the like button. I need the likes, you know. Likes mean everything to me. Makes me more happy. Anyways, I'll be signing off.